Testing. Heyo, heyo. This is the Midnight Skeptic. The one and only Midnight Skeptic coming at you again. Yet again. A couple of things. Well, before I get into that, this is going out to an unsuspecting world. This Sunday, the 16th at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which would be midnight back on the East Coast, where a number of my watchers on YouTube and listeners on FM radio are. And it's going out kpca.fm worldwide. You can get me in Turkmenistan. And locally here in Sonoma County, 103.3 FM. And then as soon as I finish this recording, I'm going to download it to YouTube, as I do all my shows over the past, let's see, when did I start doing YouTube? About 5 years ago, 6 years. I don't know the exact date of my first YouTube show, but they're all out there somewhere. Okay. A couple of things that I'm trying to do with my show. As I've said this before, I think on every show, one purpose of my small effort here is to rid this country of all hateful, mean, and cruel Republicans, GOP MAGAs, conservatives, Christian nationalists, and fundamentalists. I want the public, because of my efforts, and I hope others on, shows and things that go out to the world will try this as well as I do. I want the public to associate the words hateful, mean, and cruel with them. Them being Republicans and MAGAs and Christian nationalists and fundamentalists. And I do it, one of the things that I do is name calling. I call the current president the orange sociopathic bloat bag, the mango Mussolini, the comb-over Caligula, things like that. I know. It's very childish and playground bullying, but they do it, and they're kind of successful at it in their name-calling by their use of the term woke for everything that they just dislike. And in their base, and maybe even in a few more reasonable people, the term woke has become associated with a bad thing. Okay? And every time the word Democrats or the left come up when they're talking about them, they append the term radical, leftists, Marxists, although they wouldn't know a Marxist if a real Marxist bit them on the ass. So, let's get started on this week's rant. Oh, boy. Here's my play-in music. You are listening to KPCA LP, Petaluma, California, at 103.3 FM and worldwide at www.kpca.org. And this is the Midnight Skeptic. The views of the Midnight Skeptic are not, repeat, not necessarily the views of KPCA or any of its affiliates. Okay, for those of you who see me on YouTube, I am wearing my yellow KPCA .fm and 103.3 FM t-shirt. We have a parade here in Petaluma once a year, Butter and Eggs Day Parade, and KPCA has a contingent that I've marched in before, not recently, but I think the last time I did it was about 3 years ago, and they handed out all these t-shirts, and I kept 2 of them. Okay. A note here about this show. I ran out of time on last week's show. I get 58 minutes. That's the time that they allot to me, minus 2 minutes for commercials and station breaks, things like that. And I had an extra page of notes that I wasn't able to get to, so I will do it this week. They're still relevant, the notes that I took. If I can read my own notes, sometimes it's kind of hard to do that. Okay. Shout outs, and I've got a new one this time. I want to shout out to Tony and Christine Lombardi. And I went to a wine tasting last Wednesday, and at another place that I want to give a shout out to. It's called La Dolce Vita Wine Bar, and let's see, the owner of it, she's a Persian lady, Sahar Gari, Garai, I think that's how you pronounce her name, capital GarI, Garhi. Okay, and she owns the Dolce Vita Wine Bar. If you're ever in Petaluma, please stop by there. But Tony and Christine, I used to work, as it turns out, with Tony Lombardi, and he and his wife were there at the wine bar. They were taking part in this wine tasting, and he used to work for Safeway, as did I. And he remembered me, and I kind of remembered him too. But like I said, it's been a long time. But he started Lombardi Wines. They buy their grapes. They don't have a vineyard. And they make 2 wines, very good, both of them, Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. And I prefer red wines to white wines, although the Chardonnay was very good. I loved the Pinot Noir that they made. But anyway, okay. Where am I in my shout-outs? I'm already off my notes. Okay, Tony Lombardi was involved with the Petaluma Gap appellation of wines. There's a mountain range between Petaluma and the coast, but there's a dip in the mountains that allows fog to come in, which we have a lot of around here, and it kind of seeps into the growing regions in the vineyards up near Forestville and what's another, Healdsburg, and places up that way around the Russian River. The Russian River winds down this valley and then winds out to Guerneville and empties into the Pacific Ocean around I forget the town out there. Okay, I'm not going to try to do this freehand. I'm off my notes, as you can tell. Okay, more shout outs. Tomorrow, there's going to be another meeting of drinks with shrinks at the Aquas Cafe, started by John Crowley. And he hosts a number of organizations at the Aquas Cafe on 2nd and 8th Street here in Petaluma. They serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner, very light fare, but delicious. And it's a nice place to hang out. He hosts ethnic dinners, poetry readings. Authors bring their books there to introduce them. Lots of music. Go on to their website, AQUS Cafe, and check out to see what they're doing. They have a schedule on there. Okay, continuing with the shout outs. Let's see. I don't have all of them in my notes, but okay. Here we go. Sadie Birdfeather. She doesn't actually live all that far from where I live, but she loves to hike with her partner and take wonderful photographs of birds. And Tiffany Gleason, Sandy Fisher, Tom. Oh boy. Oh. God, see, my notes strike again. Okay, it's Tim Conrad, a wonderful photographer. He was in my class, high school class, up in Sonora. Nariman, he is a wine sort of connoisseur as well, and he goes down to the La Dolce Vita wine bar quite a bit. He's Persian himself. Art Kutznet, who I met through B'nai Israel Temple here, who was presided over by Rabbi Ted Feldman, who is now retired. But I learned a lot in his night classes that he had about Judaism and the founding of Israel and brain freeze already. It's not in my notes. The Jewish organization that helped found a homeland for the Jewish people over in what is now Israel. Okay. Rob Tomaszewski, the station manager. Rob Nasser, a good handyman. Project Censored. Okay, Mickey Huff, who's back at Ithaca College now. He was out here teaching history and communications at Diablo Valley College. Well, he is back at Ithaca College now, and anyway, and also with Project Censored, they come out with a book every year. The State of the Free Press, 2024, 2025. The 2025 one is out now. Go to their website if you want to buy the book. And also sign up for their newsletter. It's very interesting and informative about how our free press and censored press and everything is being affected by the current orange sociopathic bloat bags administration. Okay. And Andy Lee Roth and Nolan Higdon and Shaylee Voitel are all associated with Project Censored. Andy Lee Roth and Nolan Higdon are over at UC Santa Cruz as history professors. Okay? All right. But if you're in Petaluma on a well-earned vacation, go to the Foundry Wharf area. Like I say, 2nd and H. go to the Aquas, AQUS Cafe. Okay, continuing with the shout-outs. Locally. I'm off my notes. Okay, here we go. Dave and Rosie, Kevin and Lori, Rich and Kathy Berger, Dennis and Megan, Stan and Kathy down in Pacifica. Stan was retired now. City Attorney of Daly City, Yvonne and Rick, back from one of their many vacations there in San Francisco, and all the way down to the LA area, actually in the valley, San Fernando Valley. Aunt Jackie and her daughter Samantha, who's a kindergarten teacher, and her little boy David, and her sister Melanie. Actually, I'm not sure where Melanie's living now. She was in Austin, Texas for a while. A little blue dot of sanity in the middle of a bunch of Republican red haters. Okay. Over to Arizona. My brother Brandon and his wife Mina and their daughter Andrea, who is my niece. She's a good nurse over in the near the Phoenix area. The Santan Valley, actually, is where they live, along with her husband and 3 little boys. Her husband's a retired Marine. Booyah! And then up to Arkansas, Shannon Reed, and over to Florida, Nelson and Alice Lydell. He is a retired United States Public Health Officer. And his research and writings, in fact, he did a textbook about it, was breathing apparatuses and face masks, which, before the COVID breakout, we needed it. And we didn't know how much we would need it when COVID broke out in February of 2000. Okay? Boy, would he make a better Secretary of Health and Human Services than the current worm brain that we have in there now. Nelson was, in my opinion, one of the smartest guys in our high school class up in Sonora. Okay. Okay, I just got a message on Facebook. And then over to Florida, Nelson and Alice. Okay, and then on the other side, the Atlantic side of Florida, Amelia Beamer. She's an editor, a novelist, and a mentor to budding novelists, of which I am one. And she's associated with Locus magazine, which actually is over here in Oakland. She goes on YouTube. You can look her up. And she tells you what Locus magazine is going to be reviewing for this month's issue. They do 3 genres: science fiction, horror, and fantasy. And she'll tell you what they're going to review. She doesn't review them herself. But anyway, up to the Raleigh-Durham area, Dr. David Rubin, the world's finest lung doctor, pulmonary physician, whatever you want to call him. He and I roomed together back in the late 70s. And out here in San Francisco, this was before I met my wife. And he was working up at UC San Francisco Medical Center up in Parnassus Heights, if you're familiar with San Francisco. But about a third of his time was actually clinical duties, and the other 2/3 was research. And he researched endothelial cells in your lungs and tried to find out what kind of enzymes they secreted. He let me go up with him to see his laboratory one time, and believe me, it was all over my head, but he did his best to explain to me, and I learned a lot of medical crap from him, too. And, eventually his career took him to a retirement from the medical field, and he went to work for GlaxoSmithKline, GSK, where he arranged clinical trials to find out, is there new drugs working? And if they work, what other side effects are there? All drugs, all medicines have some sort of side effects. Fortunately for us, the vast majority of them are just can be ignored. And but anyway, I'm not a non-drug taking type person. I'll take drugs if my doctor says I should, but I really don't like to take any medicines if I can help it. Anyway, okay, up to what he's doing now. Dr. Dave Rubin is pursuing in his golden years. He's mid-70s, I think now. Artistic works. You can go to his website, davidrubinpainting.com. It could be paintings, plural.com. I'm not going to have to look that one up. Okay, Long Island, Geraldine Goldfinger, my late wife's best friend. And way back here on the West Coast and up Highway 108 to Sonora, where I grew up. Actually, I'm not quite sure that I'm fully grown up yet. Maybe I might not be. But anyway, that's where I went to high school in Sonora. At that time, way back, there was, somewhere between 400 and 500 kids at the high school. It was small. Everybody knew everybody, but I got a good education there. The teachers were, for the most part, very good. Sonora, Robert Finnegan, Bob and Sandy Fisher, and their two grown kids, Brad and Martha. Brad is kind of running the Tuolumne County Historical Society up there. And if you're ever up in Sonora, drop by it. I'm not sure of the address, but he catalogs everything. He arranges everything, makes it available to the public. Anyway, Darrell Larson, our bronc riding classmate, and he has the broken bones to show for it. Judy May, Kathy Francis, Lynn Quayle, who splits her time between Manhattan and Sonora. She has a rent-controlled apartment in Manhattan. That's why she has to go by their local law back there. She has to live there for 6 months to maintain the rent control. I don't know how much it is that she pays a month, but it's way under market value. Okay, and then further on up Highway 108, John Gleason and his two daughters, Jennifer Gleason, works for Wells Fargo, and Tiffany Gleason, who is a African Studies professor, and she's not teaching anywhere right now, but she did her graduate work in the country of Benin, Benin, and it's on the west part of Africa, kind of the southwest, and she speaks Yoruba, Yoruba. Okay, further on down south to Mexico City, Rosamalia Lopez Negrete. And the last I really heard from her, she was not a big fan of Claudia Sheinbaum, Mexico's newly elected president. I like her because she's a lefty. Rosamalia called her a communist, but she's not. And she's just quite lefty, like Bernie Sanders or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And the kind of lefty that I consider myself to be, a democratic socialist. And what else was I going to say? Oh, Claudia Sheinbaum is standing up to the orange sociopathic bloat bag on this ridiculous trade war that the Mango Mussolini foisted off on both Canada and Mexico. Canada's new premier, like just a couple of days ago, he was sworn in, and I can't remember his name. I'm off my notes. But he looks like a guy that's going to stand up to the orange sociopathic bloat bags administration. Go Canada. All right. I need a sip of orange juice. Okay. Okay, like I say, I'm going to flip back to the last page of last week's notes. Okay, I better just do it now while I can remember to do it. Okay. Oh, excuse me, I apologize. I'm looking for the page. Damn it. One of these days, I'm going to get organized. Damn, where the hell is it? Oh, okay. Last week. All right. NASA, or Space Agency officials warned its staff about publicly displaying their badges amid reports of harassment by MAGA heads amid the increasing negative rhetoric toward government workers. And this is a quote from one of the NASA leaders. Quote, "We are all very proud to work for the space program," wrote Dr. James Polk, NASA's chief health and medical officer. Well, he can't hang around. The worm brain will get rid of him. What is all this about health and medical stuff? Worm brain is not going to put up with that. Okay, continuing on with the quote, "But in the current environment with a lot of negative rhetoric coming in our direction, I want you all to please use caution." That is such a sick commentary on our current state of the country. Republicans and GOP MAGA heads, and it's like the January 6th violent takeover of our Capitol. Some of the dregs of that happening are now directing their attention toward NASA and other government workers. It's a sad time going on in our country right now. Okay, bad news. The orange sociopathic bloat bag's address on Tuesday night, now this is 2 Tuesday nights ago, to a joint session of Congress. I was going to write quite a bit about his speech, but what's the use? Why go into this? His handlers and speechwriters had him spewing lies after lies, especially about 150-year-old Social Security recipients. And these speeches that he gives, he is too dim-witted to come up with all of these things. He has a bunch of right-wing think tank handlers that tell him what to say, that enter his speech on his teleprompter, that he just reads it off. He doesn't realize fully what he is actually saying. He's just a mouthpiece and a front man for the hateful, cruel, mean Republican Party. Boy, the soonest that we can vote them all out, the better. Okay. After his speech, the Democratic senator from Wisconsin, Elisa Slotkin, I really like her because, she gave the response, and she has a very good presentation. She is very well-spoken, good speaking voice, and she gave a list of doable actions for Democrats if they want to get back into the race, so to speak. I'm not going to go into all the things she said, but they all made sense and they're all doable. Okay. And, let me go back to this thing about name calling, which is childish and beneath the dignity of commentators on YouTube and radio, like me. Today, no, this came from yesterday, the orange sociopathic bloat bag calls the people who are boycotting and in some cases attacking Tesla dealerships and cars, he calls them radical left lunatics. Okay, if he can call names, I can call names, and I do. And he's just not very imaginative. He should be able to come up with some other kinds of names to call Democrats, but he can't. This is a clarification. I kind of botched I botched a segment last week about the extent of the LGBTQ community. I mean, how many they are and how it's growing. And so I'm going to clarify it. Okay. I got these statistics from a Gallup poll. Like I say, this is a week old, but it's valid now. Okay. The LGBTQ identification in the U.S. is rising. The Gallup poll in 2024, this is just last year, shows 9.3% of adults. I got to emphasize, Gallup poll said adults identify as a member of the LGBTQIA plus community. And this is up 1 percentage point from the previous year's poll. So it was 8.3, like in 2023. Okay, a Gallup poll in the year 2020 indicated that 5.6% of adults identified as LGBTQ. Now, that was 5 years ago. Okay, so it is growing. Now, I don't know whether to call that good news or bad news or whatever. It's just news. It's reality. Everybody regardless of how they identify themselves and regardless of who they choose to be attracted to or inclined to be attracted to and to love, should be just accepted and celebrated by everybody in this country. And I know that I'm speaking into the wind. The Republicans, the MAGA heads, the conservatives, the religious nationalists, Christian nationalists, and fundamentalists will never do that because they are all hate-filled, hateful, mean, and cruel. That's their nature. That's kind of why they gravitate toward the Republican Party and even register as Republicans. I hate immigrants. I hate blacks. I hate the LGBT community. I hate people that don't speak English. I'm going to be a Republican. I'm going to vote for Trump. Okay. I'm off my notes, as if you can tell. Okay. Final word on that. 20% of Generation Z adults identify with some aspect of the LGBTQ community. Okay. Okay, that was the clarification. For those of you who were listening last week and got confused about the Gallup poll statistics, I hope that cleared it up for you. Okay, we got NASA news clarifications. Okay, this is still on my last page from last week's show. Time check. Oh, boy. Where does the time go when you're having fun? Bad news. The Supreme Court announced Monday on the 10th, 3/10, that it will hear a case challenging a 2019 Colorado law forbidding licensed therapists from trying to turn LGBTQ kids straight and cis, CIS. That's the official, I guess I don't like to use that term, but that's what I am. Okay, what I am is just a guy doing this crazy stuff. But officially, I am white, cisgendered. That means I'm a male, like I was born. Cisgendered, heterosexual, meaning straight. And that's how I identify. But I hate I don't dislike using all these words. If I have to really explain myself to somebody, then I'll just say that. I'm a white, cisgendered, heterosexual guy. I just like to say I'm a guy. All right. Let's see. I'm off my notes again, as usual. Okay, and I'm going to have more to say a little bit about this Colorado lawsuit. Okay. Update. Okay, on last week's show. Oh, okay. On last week's show. Now, this is notes about the previous weeks because the Zelensky meeting with the orange sociopathic bloat bag in the Oval Office, there was this floating turd that posed the question to Zelensky, why are you not wearing a suit? Don't you own a suit? What the FK is that guy? Well, I told you I would find out who it was. Here he is. Okay. There's a media outlet called Real Americas. Real America. You know, I never listened to them. I just found out by looking this guy up. I guess it's a podcast or a radio show or online something. I don't know. But anyway, it's called Real America. And the guy is Brian Glenn, Glen. And obviously he's a MAGA head. And he was standing there. And I think, although I can't prove it, that he was directed to ask that question of Volodymyr Zelensky about the suits. What a floating turd that guy is. Okay. Okay. Now, I told my listeners out there that I was going to dip into the Quora universe to dredge out some stupid questions that their answer people usually try to give measured, polite answers to. Not always. Sometimes they can get snarky, but usually they answer in a moderated voice, so to speak. Okay, now here's a stupid question that was posed on the 10th, Monday. Question: why are evolutionists afraid of intelligent design theory? Why don't they want students to know about it? Okay. Yeah. Obviously, that question was submitted by some fundamentalist Christian. Okay, the guy who answered this said, and he wasn't snarky with his answer, although it deserved snarkiness. Okay, geography departments do not teach the flat earth theory. Chemistry departments don't teach the phlogiston theory, Phlogiston theory, which posited the existence of the four elements: earth, air, fire, water. Well, they don't teach that anymore because it's ridiculous. The intelligent design that Christians are all for, it's just stupid. Why can't they use science to discover reality? Well, it would go against the Bible. All right. Anyway, I'm not going to go into any further of this guy's answer, but he was polite, and it makes sense. Universities don't teach the phlogiston theory or the flat earth theory or anything like that because they're not real. Okay. Great news to end the show. And this is what I would have ended last week's show on. Two teenagers from Woodlands, Texas, created a device to filter toxic microplastics from water and won a $50,000 award for their innovation. Justin Huang and Victoria Au, O-U, and they use an ultrasound technology to filter out microplastics from water. Good for them. They're probably both on their way to college, to an engineering degree or something like that, but I applaud them. Okay, we need more STEAM teenagers, STEAM, science, technology, engineering. And the A they've added for arts and math, STEAM. Okay, I've been seeing that more and more lately. All right. Now, I'm back on my notes for this week. And boy, is the time going by. Shout out. Okay. Quackery news. And I'm not talking about Florida's chief medical officer. What do they call him? Not attorney general, but anyway, Joseph Ladapo. The Ron DeFascist appointed him head of Florida's health. Joseph Ladapo. He is a quack. Joseph Ladapo, I'm calling you a quack. Come after me if you want. Okay. Anyway, I'm off my notes again. Quackery news. The Alliance for Therapeutic Choice and Scientific Integrity. That raises red flags that they even have to say that. But is a group of therapists, and I'm doing my air quotes, who are in favor of conversion therapy, which is an attempt to turn gay kids straight and kids who are experiencing gender dysphoria to change their thoughts about themselves to align their gender thoughts with the sex assigned at birth. They don't like trans kids. And this is a group of, it's a small group, thank goodness, but it's a group of therapists. Oh, God. Okay. Good news. Iowa State Senator, Tony Bisignano, who actually is a Democrat. My notes. Okay. But anyway, he said to an Iowa Republican who voted for this new law in Iowa, aligning itself, you're either a boy or a girl, no in between. Yeah. Okay, he said to the face on the Senate floor, you don't even know them, but you hate them. And okay, I wrote down Tommy Tuberville, Republican of Alabama. I don't know why I did. Anyway, he is without a doubt one of the 2 or 3 stupidest senators in the United States Senate. Okay. Bad, quote, you've got to be kidding me news. United States Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, she's a Democrat from Nevada, on Monday, 3/3, that's on the 3rd of March, voted against the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act. It would, now it's a Republican bill, of course, but one of the things in the bill, it would allow anyone to request an inspection of the genitals of a girl that looked too masculine to some Republican MAGA head. She looks like she might be a boy. I'm going to check out her genitals to make sure she's not a trans girl. Rah, rah, rah. That is actually in the bill. Anyone is allowed to check. Oh, God. Horrible Republicans. Hate-filled, cruel, and mean Republicans. Oh, okay. Okay, bad news. This is a new topic. The orange sociopathic bloat bag and the hateful Republicans are coming after PBS and NPR. Of course, they're just too woke for them. They have black to match their hearts trucks, black trucks, roaming cities with a big sign on the side of the truck, defund NPR and PBS, painted on the sides. Okay, I'm not sure which town this was. Springfield, Ohio was one of them. Anyway, okay. Good news from last Tuesdays. This would be 2 Tuesdays ago now. Republican Al Green, Representative Al Green, a Democrat from Texas, was censured by the House of Representatives for breach of proper conduct. He was shaking his cane at the Mango Mussolini, and there were a couple of Democrats that sided with the Republicans to censure him. Ridiculous. Okay. Real bad news. The moment we all feared is finally arriving. RFK, I call him Wormbrain Jr., lays the groundwork for a public health crisis of historic proportions. An email to the this is a committee or outfit within the HHS, an email to the Vaccines and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee has their meeting canceled with no explanation. They were going to meet to decide which new strains of the flu should be aimed at by the newest vaccine developments. Well, he canceled that meeting. Okay. Oh boy, I've got 2 more pages. It is 52 minutes. Okay, I've really got to. I apologize again. I'm running out of time again. Okay, bad news. For decades, hateful Republicans and industry lobbyists tried to chip away at the small program in the EPA that measures the threat of toxic chemicals. It's IRIS, created by Ronald Reagan 4 decades ago, is a team of scientists that access toxicity of chemicals, and they estimate the amount of each of these chemicals that triggers cancer and other health effects. These values serve as a non-partisan, independent basis for rules that limit our exposure to toxic chemicals. Hateful, cruel, mean Republicans have introduced in Congress bills to prohibit the EPA from using IRIS, I'm not going to say the name of it again. It's IRIS, this committee that examines chemicals, to prohibit the EPA from using IRIS hundreds of chemical assessments and map the health risks to limit the amount of pollution in our air and water. The potential act is called the No Iris Act, submitted by Republicans, of course. IRIS, I-R-I-S, here's what it stands for. Integrated Risk Information System. Created in 1985, has long been a target of anti-regulation GOP politicians and is now an orange sociopathic bloat bag and Project 2025 target for elimination. Who wouldn't want chemicals in their water and air? Republicans love pollution. Okay. Horrible news. A new Missouri bill would let residents donate to anti-abortion centers instead of paying taxes. Man. Bad news. Idaho, a hateful, mean Republican state, wants to give Texas and Georgia a run for their money in women dying, pregnant women dying. The orange sociopathic bloat bag administration dropped a Biden-era lawsuit requiring Idaho hospitals to provide abortions to women in medical emergencies. Dismissing the lawsuit against Idaho was one of Project 2025's goals. Pro-lifers are all basically Christian fundamentalists, hateful, mean, cruel Christian fundamentalists, and Republicans. I've got to cut it off now. Play my out music. You have been listening to The Midnight Skeptic on KPCA LP, Petaluma, California. And we're at 103.3 on the FM dial and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. Support community radio at patreon.com/Petaluma Community Access. And remember, think critically, think logically, but live joyously, and most importantly, pet your cats. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to pet your cats. It's a great stress reliever. 58 minutes exactly. I've got to go. So I will be doing this again next week. Far into the future, I will be doing this until all Republicans are gone. So I'll see you guys next week.